Good evening and welcome to the City of Lincoln's regular meeting of the City Council. Tonight's meeting will be televised and available on cable channel 18 and via Zoom. This evening's invocation will be given by Pastor Ryan Schindler from the First Street Community Church. Once the invocation has concluded, Mayor Andreatta will call the meeting to order.
Ways that are gathered together here to do business on behalf of the city. Lord, just pray for a spirit of cooperation. I know last year's meetings, some people didn't get along and some things got heated. Lord, I just pray that you keep us all working together to resolve things peacefully. Or just pray for wisdom as decisions are made. Just pray that you guide us in moving forward into the future to do what's best for our community. Thank you for all those that have given their time tonight. And I pray all this in Jesus' name, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, and I can guarantee you no heat tonight. Welcome, everybody, to the City of Lincoln 2025 regular meeting. City Council, Lincoln Redevelopment Successor Agency, Lincoln Public Financing Authority, April 22nd, 2025. So call the meeting to order. And Hope, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Reedy.
Here.
Councilmember Pearl.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Eklund. Here. Mayor Andreatta.
I am here. Thank you. All right. We have some Boy Scouts in the room. Would you guys like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, that'd be great. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 7, report from closed session. Smolenkoff.
Thank you, Mayor. There is no reportable action this evening.
Okay, great, thank you. Item number 8, agenda modification. Will the council or any staff need to move the agenda at all? Any modifications? Okay, great. All right, item 9, presentations. 9A, we have a presentation of Placer Rides program, Seniors First. Mark Hall, welcome. You're welcome.
I'm Mark with Seniors First. We are, you probably have heard of our Hallmark program, Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
We do a lot of information and assistance for Placer seniors. I became a recent card-carrying member. Thank you. What I am going to speak about this evening is an interesting transportation economic assistance program. So it is we have public transportation, we have all kinds of ride-sharing options, but there is a segment of our population, 60 and over, someone who may have a disability, who can't use public transportation, someone who no longer drives for whatever reason, cognitive, visual impairment. It's going to happen to all of us. There'll come a time when the doctor calls, or oftentimes it's at a Thanksgiving meal when the kids come and see their aging parents, and then they chat after dessert and say, wow, Dad's declined a little bit. Maybe he shouldn't be driving. Anyway, that's going to happen, and it happens to an awful lot of people who live in this county who cannot get to their medical appointments, who can't get to grocery shop, can't get to the post office, to the bank. So they isolate, and this program, the architects of this program were trying to provide an incentive for those to find someone to help them get to their essential need appointments. So 60 and over, the segment of the population we serve with this program, 60 and over, or, not and, or someone who has a disability or an impairment or some sort of barrier to using existing public transportation, or someone on the poverty line. That's a significant number in this county. 440,000 people, 21% are over the age of 60. 7% are impoverished. There's a huge chunk of folks that are having some difficulty getting to essential need appointments. So to be eligible, those are essentially the eligible requirements. We provide through, and look back behind me, Michael Costa, in conjunction with the Western Placer Consolidated Transportation Services Agency, we roll out this program through Seniors First. Now, we've had it for 3 years. It's a mileage reimbursement program. We do not provide the driver. So someone who's having difficulty using transportation, getting to their appointments, must have a volunteer driver. So that could be, well, context, okay? Context. Husband, wife. Husband drives. Wife no longer drives. Husband is taking wife to medical appointments, to grocery shop, to the hair salon, to the bank. All of those miles for those types of trips through our program are reimbursable. So what we offer, 200 miles a month, reimbursed at 70 cents per mile. 70 cents is the IRS standard for reimbursement 2025. So there are a lot of folks who fit this that are already in that space. Holly, I don't know, it's possible that your parents are nearby. One of them may not drive. If you are transporting them at any time to the grocery store, to the pharmacy, to physical therapy, to medical appointments, to dentist, you and your parent could participate and be reimbursed. And it's a significant number. Now, so I know we have Dial-A-Ride and a few other city, county programs of transportation here, but this is essentially really for those that can't use that, right? So eligible trips, again, medical, grocery shop, bank, post office, last week to the CPA, last minute, all essential trips and reimbursable. And then when we have someone who is using the program, meaning they have a volunteer driver and they're submitting a log form, logging in their trips for reimbursement, if they're doing that ongoing, then we have a bailout program should their volunteer driver be unable to take them to a medical appointment, because we know what happens then, right? Oh, we have to reschedule you. Oh, it's only four weeks later, right? So we have 2 times a month, we will offer a bailout trip where money's in the budget to pay for a professional transportation company to make sure that person does not miss their medical appointment and bring them back. So we have funding available through 2027 for this program. And we know the need is there because 10,000 people a day or nationally are turning 65. 5,000 of them, I think, are moving to Lincoln every day, or so it seems. Placer County is one of the fastest growing counties for sure in Northern California, but possibly in California as well for seniors. So that's, they can enroll through. I have some pamphlets that I'm leaving with Hope, and people can find out more about it. They can enroll with us, and but the key thing is they have to have a volunteer driver. I wish we could provide drivers. I wish.
That's too much of a challenge. Thank you for that presentation. I actually had this handed to me a couple weeks ago. Somebody on the PCTPA board gave it to me because I was talking to seniors about this very thing. I have one question for you. What's the turnaround when a volunteer driver applies for this to get the paperwork processed and have them approved for reimbursement? What's the time frame for that?
When we get the application, assuming that they've listed a driver and the driver has signed a waiver, liability waiver,
Yeah.
immediately.
Okay,
Moreover, what's today, the 22nd?
Yeah.
So if someone signed up tomorrow, the 23rd, we would invite them to list every medical transportation leg trip dating back to April 1st. So, and we will reimburse for that. But it's instantaneous, really.
that's great. Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Sounds like a great program. How many trips do you make in a month or a year?
How many trips do we
Yes.
make in a
Well,
month?
does your program offer?
Well, right now, so it's been around for a few years. Recently, Seniors First hired a mouthpiece for it. You're looking at them. And that happened in November. So up until October of last year, we were paying out roughly 50 or so a month reimbursements. Last month, we hit 107. Now, people aren't using up all 200 miles a month, right? I mean, some are 10 miles, 15 miles, some are 75 miles. So I don't know the number offhand. I don't know. Mike, would you happen to have that?
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Questions? Yep. Thank you. Is there anybody in the public who would like to make a comment on this or have any questions real quick? No? Anybody online? Hey, Mark, thank you very much. I really appreciate the information. Very helpful.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 9B, we're going to have a presentation from James Corliss, the Executive Director of SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Governance. Are you okay for me to do that? Okay, so just a little bit of introduction here. So James Corliss is the Executive Director of SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Governments, in case you're not familiar with that acronym. And James is here to talk to us about the region's long-range transportation land use plan, which we call the 2025 blueprint. And I'm new on James's board, and so I'm learning what that means. As local leaders, it's important to understand how our planning decisions at a local level impact not just our own city or county, but the entire region. The way we design transportation infrastructure and development influences broader regional patterns from economic growth to environmental sustainability. If we think regionally, we can create more vibrant and connected communities that improve the quality of life for everyone and for Lincoln and in our region. This is especially important because, as we all know, we're facing tough realities around transportation funding, especially with the not passing of Measure B. And we can't build everything that we would like to. So it's crucial that we're strategic and prioritize investments that address both our local needs and the region's collective goals. So SACOG plays a key role in advocating for communities in this region at the state and federal levels. By working together to identify our shared priorities, SACOG helps the region be more competitive for funding to support our projects. So you'll hear more about the blueprint today. Our city has been working on this through our local planning efforts for quite a long time. So welcome, James. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. It's really nice to be here. You got the transportation theme apparently tonight. And I just want to say, we work very closely with PCTPA and Mike Costa here in the audience. So if you're wondering, as you should and often ask, what's the relationship? We work really closely together. PCTPA is your county transportation partner, and we're your regional partner, and we try to work seamlessly together. So I've got a few slides to walk through here. There they are. All right, we're coming up. And Mayor Andrade, you sort of mentioned you're learning the language. I think you're doing great. You talked about the blueprint. That's what we call our plan. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. You wouldn't build a region without a blueprint. And so really what this is a plan that looks across all 6 counties and 22 cities for 25 years out in the future. Now, we cannot predict the future. If we did, we'd be out in Las Vegas making a lot of money. We do forecast, and we try to sort of scenario plan the future, building up from your general plan. So working with your staff very closely, we start with your general plans, and we start with your transportation plans. As the mayor said, we can't afford everything, so we have to knit together very carefully a fiscally constrained plan. But at the end of the day, This plan that we're calling the blueprint is critical for when we go to the state capitol in Sacramento, or we go back to Congress in Washington, D.C., because what's in this plan will matter, and it will help us be more competitive for grants. So with that, okay, I'm going to try to, all right, I know I can do this. Where do I point? I'm glitching. That's okay. Help is on the way. Okay. Look at that. That's perfect. No, everybody needs some help sometimes. Okay. So a little bit about SACOG. So we're the Council of Governments. Actually, since 2003, we have represented every single local government in the region. So for covering an area this vast of these 6 counties, from the Sacramento Delta to the Tahoe Rim up to Yuba and Sutter, out to Yolo County, every single local government sits around our table twice a month. So every city, every county is represented. Because usually in most large regions, the seats rotate. You don't rotate. Lincoln has a permanent seat, and the mayor sits alongside every single other jurisdiction. And the thing that we've been doing most recently, which you've just started to get a sense of, is we're now rotating our board meeting around the region. So we were just in Rockland earlier. We're going to go to unincorporated Sacramento County in June, and we're hosted basically by our local jurisdictions. We're going to go to Wheatland later this fall so that our board can understand the incredible potential and opportunity that exists in the region. So something that our board really likes. We're grounding our long-range plan, again, looking over 25 years across this entire 6-county region. We're grounded what we call a triple bottom line framework: equity, economy, and environment. We've done a lot of outreach in this plan. In fact, we've done more outreach and public engagement than we've ever done before. We've developed themes along from all of that outreach. We've done a poll. We've done multiple focus groups in English and Spanish. We've done surveys. We've done pop-up events in every county, multiple in every county, and we've heard some pretty consistent themes that are here. But including things like, I would love a robust, clean, safe public transportation system. Although I have to say, the presentation you heard before me and just reimbursing on rides, those are the kinds of innovative, creative solutions that we need to all over our region to be really creative about how do we solve our mobility challenges. When we went out and we surveyed across all 6 counties, and we asked people what are the biggest challenges facing your community, and this may not be a surprise, but it is housing and the cost of housing. It is the concern about being able to afford to have our children and our grandchildren afford to live in this region, right? Because we're growing very fast, and we've been in a housing construction deficit for quite a long time. So what have we learned when we do this plan? This is a very technical plan. We do a lot of demographic forecasting. Again, we knit together everything starting with your general plans. This is the plan also that helps us meet all of our state and federal requirements and mandates around air quality, but it also is a plan that tries to represent every community and the diversity of all of our communities. So here's something that you probably know in Lincoln all too well, and in Placer County. The remark was made earlier, I don't have to tell you this, one of the fastest growing counties in California, or one of the fastest growing regions in California. By the 2020 census, we were the fastest growing metro region, and the green line here is the 6-county Sacramento region. So on an annual growth rate, you can see that we are trending way above the statewide average for population growth and the national average. That will slow down over time. Our forecast is we will slow the rate of growth, but we will still be above national and statewide averages. What does that look like in terms of the region? So right now in the 6 counties, we're about 2.5 million people, and we forecast we're going to grow by another 600,000 by the year 2050. That would put us at 3.1 million. That's the population of metropolitan Denver today, which is why we took our board back to Denver last summer, and we met with local leaders there, and we learned about the decisions they made 20 years ago to make Denver a successful region, because they were basically 20 years ago where we are today. So what could we learn from that? So 600,000 more people, we hope. If we're lucky, 260,000 more jobs in the region. which will require 278,000 housing units. Here are the numbers in Lincoln. It's an 18,000 increase in population, 7,900 jobs, and 8,700 housing units. We know that you could build a lot more than that, but that's the forecast as it sort of allocates across the region. And I will say one of the things about having a very fast growth rate in Placer County is we really want to help support in any way we can your economic development strategy and your idea about bringing jobs to Placer so people aren't commuting too far. Our growth footprint calls for about 2/3 of our growth building out in existing urban footprints or existing general plans or incorporated areas, and about 1/3 of that growth in new growth areas, right? And you know this very well here in Lincoln. It's a mix of growing out sort of our existing footprint, but also a lot of our new growth areas that require a lot of challenges and create challenges. So what does this look like in Lincoln? We're really delighted that we were able to provide you one of our Green Means Go grants for your downtown plan. You have a fantastic town here. I love it every time I come. So however we can work with your staff to make sure that you're doing the planning and the economic development to really allow your downtown to thrive. And transportation, this is an important one. We actually have the Lincoln Boulevard project in part of what we call our Placer-Sacramento Gateway grant proposal to the state of California, currently sitting with the California Transportation Commission, again, working very closely with PCTPA. This is one of these where that project is knit together with projects in Rockland and down the I-80 corridor and in the city of Sacramento, and we have a grant application, again, in front of the State California Transportation Commission right now. We've been talking to commissioners and really trying to get the word out about how important those investments are. And also, when we actually work together across jurisdictional boundaries and we knit together some of those corridor approaches, we can be more successful and more competitive for grants. The mayor said that we're actually facing a lot of transportation funding challenges, so we got to be smarter about how we invest and how we think about transportation projects. We've got to figure out how we can build them quicker, build them lower cost, and also make sure that while we expand our transportation system, we also focus on maintaining our streets and our sidewalks and repairing our infrastructure. So that all knits together. I'm winding up here in our long-range plan. We're in the home stretch here. In May of this year, we're going to release a draft plan. That'll be out for the months of June and July for public comment, along with a draft EIR, and then we'll bring it back to our board in September and hopefully adopt a final plan and a final EIR in November. One of the benefits of this plan is that it will hopefully make our infrastructure and transportation grants more competitive, but also if you have land use proposals, housing and economic development in our plan, you should be able to get some benefits out of some streamlining on environmental reviews as well. So that's all part of what we try to do across the region. And then a plan would not be a plan if we didn't try to implement it. And just a couple of examples of projects that we have as ways to implement our plans, implementation depends on all of you at the local level. So I mentioned Green Means Go. We've identified, our cities and counties have identified areas for more investment and more economic development across all 6 counties, including right here in Lincoln. We have a trails plan across our 6 counties that if we could connect and knit together our trails, which I know you got a lot of great ones here in Lincoln, but across the region and across counties, they're kind of disconnected. They stop and start. We've done a plan that actually looks at connecting every corner of our 6-county region, neighborhoods across the entire region, which would give us, if we could be successful, 1,000 miles plus of paved walking and biking trails where families and people of all ages would feel comfortable and safe. And finally, in the bottom right, we have a mega region working group because even though we're 6 counties and we're a fast-growing region, we're increasingly tied to the Bay Area and the San Joaquin Valley. So we've got some really important projects that as a collective 3 regions we advocate for, including the 3rd track up to Roseville for the Capitol Corridor and some improvements on Interstate 80. And then finally, as we go back to DC and work with our congressional representatives, we have some important priority projects here featuring Highway 65. I don't have to tell you about what a bottleneck that is, what we call the Placer-Sacramento Gateway that I just mentioned. So with that, I'll just say that we are stronger together. We're stronger as a team. It is really important in fiscally challenging times, shall we say, at the federal level and the state level, that we really work across jurisdictional boundaries, across county lines. None of this, all of this work and the visions of our communities in our region is bipartisan. We have a bipartisan delegation in Congress and one in the legislature. So if we're a team, we put ourselves in purple from time to time, there's nothing that we can't accomplish together. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, James. Appreciate that. All right. Questions from the council?
I don't have any questions. I really appreciate the time and effort that you guys put into this, and that it looks like you really identify really kind of the issues and problems or the needs of the residents, work in progress, and I really appreciate the outreach that you guys do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I was excited to see the Ready Set Trails. I hadn't heard about that yet or dug into this presentation. And I'm curious, how do we get plugged into that? How does that work? Can you
Yeah.
expand on that a little bit?
Sure. And that's where I'd point to Mike Cost in the back of the room and say, PCB is a great partner. First of all, I'd say Saturday is National Trails Day. So just check that out on social media. We're just really trying to get the importance of trails as it has so many benefits, right? Safety, health, economic development. So Saturday is National Trails Day, and May is Bike Month. May is a big old month. So there's lots of things you can do, even as elected officials, to do bike rides with students and go into school and all kinds of things to highlight the importance of these kind of safe facilities. You're pretty plugged in, but I would love to follow up with you with PCTPA on the trails plan, because there's a couple of what we call active transportation plans that are underway within Placer County. And so making sure those all knit together is kind of the key. And then trying to figure out what your priorities are and how we can work with PCTPA to line you up for the appropriate grant funding.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody from the public have a question for Mr. Corliss? Yep, come on up to the mic.
Yes, thank you. Paul Vose, and it's great to hear about the trails. There's a number of us that are interested in that. We've talked about it with Sean and others in the group here. But the question I really have is there any plans for the bridge at 193 and Ferrari Ranch to be expanded? You're smirking like you have an answer.
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
yeah, that,
You've
outside
you've
your
stumped
scope so
me.
far.
You've stumped me.
yeah,
Okay.
that's more of a local question. Go ahead, Mr. Scully.
Yes, it's a long, very expensive and frustrating project, and we're right in the middle
That
of
sounds very unusual for transportation. It's a
It's a highway
unique-
bridge
unique
program.
case.
So, highway bridge program.
Great. Anybody else? Anybody online? Hey, thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate the time. And as Ben said, the outreach, we'll really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, for serving on the board.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
to
my
have you.
pleasure. Have a good night. Oh, huh? Yeah, go Kings, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, moving on to item 10, a public comment. This is the time for a public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. And I have one card, so when I call your name or when you come up, please come to the mic, make sure the mic is on. You have 3 minutes, and the council will be happy to hear your public comment. So we'll start with Marcia Schnapp.
Thank you and good evening. I just want to welcome city council members who are new this year. I know you've been here a while, but I haven't, so just want to welcome you all. I want to thank you for this opportunity to address city council. My name is Marcia Schnapp. I'm a resident of Lincoln. I'm also a board member of the Friends of the Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve. So some of you may not know about that yet. There is a nature preserve here. It was established over 20 years ago when they wanted to build Lincoln Crossing, and it is a federally protected nature preserve. Last year, we were lucky enough to have a pair of bald eagles visit the nature preserve, and how many urban cities can say that? So anyway, it's a pretty special place. The Auburn Creek goes through it, and that's a protected salmon spawning stream. And there are pathways through it. So it's a very nice area. We've been in conversation with city staff about doing some necessary maintenance as well as enhancement to the preserve. Usually we have conversations directly with city staff and through the Park and Rec meetings, but the Park and Rec meetings have been kind of absent lately. So at this point, we've sent a couple emails, but at this point, what we'd like to do is get some status updates. And so that's what we're asking. We basically sent communication on December 3rd, one again on March 13th, and one on 4/6. And so what we're asking for is a reply to our emails. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to respond, Beth?
Sure. So we can go through the email chain if you'd like, but a couple times leading up to last year, we met with the group, and the discussions with the Friends of the Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve has sort of changed over time. It started off with sort of more discussions about what should and shouldn't be done in that area, and then over time changed into discussions about, well, what kinds of things can we try to find resources to improve the nature preserve. By improve, I mean not urbanize. I mean increase planting of oak and other pedestrian friendly sorts of improvements. So the way the city funds those kinds of things is through our oak tree mitigation fee that it's charged on new development. So what most people don't know is that when a development occurs in another area of Lincoln, and the property owner or developer intends to clear cut oaks, there's a fairly long and complicated process of determining the size and age, and there's a formula that essentially assesses a fee if it's a tree that can't be relocated or saved. And so they pay that fee. That goes into a bucket of money that the city has used over the years to do restoration projects. We donated a significant portion of it towards the Clover Valley Preservation Project, which just recently was, well, at least partially completed. And there is some money left for a larger scale planting effort in Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve. And so we have a project that is included in the 25 through 27 budget for a significant tree planting effort that will span a variety of areas within the preserve. We actually already have hired a biological arborist firm to design it because we've learned some lessons over the years about doing it with less expert help has not usually led to the trees surviving. And so this project is not simply just planting saplings, it's planting lots of trees with associated irrigation and with associated protective measures around the tree so that while it's young, it's being protected and it can hopefully survive into full adulthood. And so I don't have exact cost of the project yet, but it's looking like it's going to probably tap out our oak tree mitigation fund. It'll probably be in the neighborhood of $300,000. So that's proposed in the 25 through 27 budget. When I talked to Scott, who runs most of these projects, we felt like it was likely that we could get that started in the late summer, fall, depending on when the experts tell us the best time to do so is. So that's the update. We're, to the extent that it's blended in with not complete ongoing conversation about what is exactly happening with that project, all I can tell you is that it is in line with about 84 other capital improvement projects that are proposed for the 25 through 27 budget, all of which have various important things. But this one's important. And you know what I will say is that we got to it as a result of meeting with this group and trying to figure out what works, what they really want. There's some detail we probably need to take offline about non-planting related improvements that are more security or kind of keeping people on the trails portions of it. But we really wanted to get that money out and employed. So,
Great.
barring any major issues this summer-ish.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, any other public comment from the room? Okay, anybody online? Okay, well, we'll bring it back and end public comment. Item number 11 is our consent agenda. Do any of the council members have any questions about consent or want to pull a consent item? No. Okay, anybody from the public have a question? We're not pulling, but a question. No? Okay, if not, then I will, anybody on Zoom, I'm sorry. Okay, then I will accept a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Move to accept consent?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, item number 12, public hearing. 12A, we're going to conduct a public hearing and adopt a resolution approving the annual adjustment of the Placer County Conservation Program's fiscal year 2025-26 development fees, determining the proposed action is not a project pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act guidelines and is exempt from CEQA pursuant to sections 15061B3 and 15273, 15313, and 15317. And Christian, is this yours?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Christian Svensk, City of Lincoln. The item before you is simply the annual inflationary adjustment for the Placer County Conservation Program. This adjustment is an increase to the land conversion fee of 1.2% and an increase to the special habitat fee of 2.8%. Additionally, the county's open space and fire hazard management fee plan would be increased by 1.2% as well. On March 12th, the Placer Conservation Authority accepted the fee adjustment and passed along their recommendation to the Placer County Board and to Lincoln. And last week, the Placer County Board of Supervisors adopted the fees on April 15th. And so that's really it in a nutshell. We have staff from the Placer County Conservation Program with us for more in-depth questions. They are going to be reevaluating the fees. The 5-year period is up. And so they're going to be doing an evaluation of the fee program in July, I believe. So staff recommends the council adopt a resolution to approve this fee adjustment to the PCCP's 2025 and 2026 development fee program.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Any questions from the council? No? Okay, any questions from the public?
It's a public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, open the public hearing. Thank you very much. We haven't had one of those in a while, so, okay, open the public hearing. Any testimony on this? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you again, Paul Vose. One question, would this involve any funding for a trail along the Auburn Ravine? Is that something that would be applicable?
No, it would not.
Any other? Anybody online? Okay. Close.
And Mayor, maybe just to
Close public- go
more
ahead.
directly address Paul's
Yeah.
question, when developers have to mitigate through the PCCP, Greg, you might need to help me, I might screw this up, but just give me a thumbs up if I'm right. Those dollars that end up coming into the program are then reallocated elsewhere in the PCC plan area to permanently preserve sensitive habitat within this area, Placer County, primarily Lincoln area and this northern area of Placer.
Okay. All right, thank you for that, Sean. Okay, so I close the public comment or public hearing. And if there's nothing else from the council, then I'll take a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Again.
Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Pearl.
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund.
Yes.
Mayor Andriana.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, item 13, general business. 13A, adopt a resolution creating CIP 656, 3rd and L Street traffic calming and approving a budget augmentation of $100,000 from unencumbered fund 2230 to CIP 656. Jacob. Yep, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I'm not going to steal Jacob's thunder. I'm just going to lead in Jacob. Jacob knows I love him.
Okay, you can have it.
So I just want to mention before he gets to the bones of the project, a little something about this, because this is kind of cool. So there's a couple community members here this evening who may have thoughts on the project. And this project comes to you as, it's not the typical way that we identify and design road projects. Darla and Jason, who are sitting in the back, we had a number of conversations with them, and actually some of those conversations happened at council a few times over the last year and change, about some concerns about safety and pedestrian safety and child safety in that area of Third and L, which is right next to GEMS, if you don't know where that's at, on Third. And a lot of different ideas about what might work and what wouldn't work. And so we finally have this meeting, I think it was right around like Thanksgiving or something, and with them, and we just talked through like a couple of ideas and kind of came to sort of consensus. Hopefully I'm not misrepresenting how it all went, but kind of came to consensus about something that could be done out there. We kicked it to Vin and Jacob and their team, and they put together a project. And so our job since that time was to try to deliver it. We probably would have tried to deliver it earlier, but the group kind of talked about it and felt like probably a better idea to wait for school to end before you start doing construction out there. So that's why you're seeing it now as we get towards the end of the school year. You're up.
Yeah, my name's Jacob, associate engineer. Perfect introduction.
Go ahead and step a little closer to the
There we go.
mic.
How's
Yeah,
that?
there you
I
go.
want to hear you. Yeah, so we're calling it the Third and L Street Traffic Calming Project, I suppose. Just like Sean introduced, the purpose of it is just to address some resident concerns of pedestrian safety near the Glenn Edwards Middle School. It's, again, primarily created as a result of community feedback, I suppose, to address concerns in the area. So this is kind of a picture of where it is. So right above Glenn Edwards Middle School on 3rd Street, right at the intersection of 3rd and L, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic there, and there's a lot going on there. There's school pickup. There's 3rd Street is kind of a long, mostly uninterrupted stretch heading east-west. So this particular location is where we're going to install kind of just a simple traffic calming infrastructure project. So we put together some, I don't know, preliminary pictures or whatever you want to call it, exhibits. I'll just throw them up on the screen just so we can see the kind of the concept, I suppose. So ready to go full screen on this, or close this? There we go. That's good enough. Yeah, we can see. So the concept here, this is kind of like a standard method of calming traffic near an intersection. You can narrow up the lanes a little bit, so that's the purpose of this bike lane buffer here. We can narrow up the travel lanes. We can install we have shown here kind of like just a simple raised concrete median with an additional stop sign that will go right in the middle of the crosswalk. So that will do a few things. It'll narrow up the lanes. There'll be more, not obstacles, but more things in the road that tends to catch drivers' attention. And then we're also going to change up some of the parking layout around here too. That way during school pickup, there's less confusion. Sometimes people are trying to pick up kids in the parking spot or weave around them or whatever. So that'll kind of clean that up a little bit. And then the other side of the street is the same idea, basically. I'll pull this one up. So this is just on the other half of the intersection. Same deal, concrete median, with no really changes made to the parking or anything on this side. Same concept, just concrete median in the middle, extra stop sign, more obstacles, slow people down a little bit. That's the concept of it. Those are just preliminary drawings. So the schedule that we have programmed so far is to use those as kind of a basis and create a formal set of bid documents, specifications, more, detailed plans and everything. So I'll probably start working on that, I don't know, end of this week or something like that. That way we can have them ready by mid-May, plenty of time. And then because of the dollar amount, we don't have to do a formal bidding process. We can just reach out to a trusted list of contractors that we use frequently and get some bids from them. And then just like Sean pointed out, we'll time the construction so that as soon as school is done, we'll do the construction then. That way, I don't know, it's a mess. You're trying to work around parents picking up their kids and all that stuff. Anyway, that's kind of the timeline. So the staff report has the same recommendation in there, but we're asking for $100,000 To be honest, this project will cost quite a bit less than that, but the 100,000 gives us room to, if we like the striping, we can expand the buffered bike lane or, I don't know, just play around with the scope a little bit as we get into the details. So realistically, it could be a lot less than 100,000, but that's plenty to cover the project. So that's about it for me.
Okay,
Those
great,
questions?
thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but
ahead.
I did want to say that, to highlight how this came about, community that was concerned, okay? So one of the things I want to highlight about this is there's a lot of different ways that things can be addressed for the community. Some of them are pretty simple and can be just, maybe some stop sign upgrades or whatnot, or different things that I've had Vin help take care of, especially in the downtown area where there's a lot more maintenance that needs to be done than, that we have funds to, if we were to take all of the funds and, maybe downtown area could be a lot, but that takes away from the rest of the city and all the maintenance and stuff that's required there too. But my point is, this one in particular took a little bit longer to get something put together than just a simple, hey, I think we need to have this kind of here. And I know that Jason's here in the audience. He'll probably have something that he would like to comment on as well. But I really like that how the community came to me and said, hey, we have an issue here. I was able to connect them with our staff and through several meetings come to this point. And so I'm really excited to see that we finally come together. And it's, although it may not seem like a lot compared to a lot of the projects that we do, $100,000 is still a lot of money to be put into something for the downtown. So, yes, thank you so much.
Good stuff, good stuff. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
Just like to say that I like that you are calling it a calming
Yeah, yeah.
intersection. I don't know if you came up with that or if that's
Oh, no. No,
in
that wasn't
use
me.
regularly. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I like that. And I think it's really creative how you came up with that solution. I was really impressed when I saw that earlier. So thank you.
I think we could really calm the traffic if we just throw a couple tack strips on the road a couple times a day and, get people's attention. But yes, yes.
Definitely calm it down.
No, I agree. I think that, some people complain sometimes that government moves too slow. But one of the things that I really appreciate about this team is that we really try to break through that, right? And get things done as fast as we can. And sometimes the public, it is too slow for them. And I would agree, like we want it done, but we actually are quite proactive and work really hard to solve problems for our community. And that's what we're here for, to solve problems and to make quality of life better. And we want the streets to be safer for the students and the parents and all of that. So I'm grateful too. Thank you guys for all your hard work on this. Thank you for your patience. And would anybody else like to make a comment? Would you like to make a comment? Okay, come on up. Where's your partner in crime tonight?
Yeah, Darla.
She's watching. She didn't feel good.
Oh, okay.
So,
Tell her we missed
Sorry
her.
to hear that.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but Ben put me on the spot. so,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw, Matt was nice enough to share this with me yesterday, so I saw it. And I agree that I made this joke with Sean when I first met with him. By government standards, you did move pretty quickly. That's not a knock on you guys. That's just a knock on government in general. But I do appreciate that, it was a little rough in the beginning, a couple of conversations, but, that it was very clear that it was taken seriously and things are being done to help calm that area. I do like calming too. That's
Yeah, that's a good term.
I appreciate it, and it's, I'm glad that it's moving forward, and I can't wait to get it done, and hopefully it helps that intersection, because it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, we do too. And so once it gets in place, then come back and report to us. Let us know how it's going.
Will do.
Yeah, great.
sure.
Thank
I
you.
won't stop coming just because.
No, 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 no,
Sounds
that's
good.
not what I meant. We love it when you're here. Yeah, appreciate that. I would think that calming term, that's an engineering term, right? An industry, yeah. Ben, did you have something you want to say?
Yes, I just want to add that I heard creative. That's one of the things about, that I'm grateful about being here. I don't have as many, staff resources as I had in the past with the county and another city I work with. We don't have a lot of resources as far as staff, but I'm amazed at the creativity with especially Jacob. We just came with an idea and he goes off and runs with it and he actually puts plan to paper and designs. Another thing I found out today, earlier, Mayor asked about the industrial project. It's actually already out to bid. We're going to open bid next week.
Thank
So
you.
we'll get that portion of Industrial Boulevard fixed this summer. It is amazing the staff we have. And he may be understated and modest, but we're getting things done. And I've, been in multiple meetings with him and public stakeholders and how he conducts himself. We do listen to your constituents and the public, and we do try to do our best to make quality of life better for the city, so.
Well, we know that you do, and we really appreciate that. And I really enjoy your presentation style, Jacob. You're just like, yeah, I'll start working on it at the end of this week, just whatever, it's like.
Calm.
I love it, because a lot of times.
Calm, right?
Yeah, it's calming. You're very calm, because a lot of times staff does not like to come up, except for Matt. He loves to talk up there, but people don't like to comment, but that's really great. Okay, Mr. Chapman, come on up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff, and those certainly who came here this evening. Maybe I missed it in the presentation. I seen where we're going to start the program and that sort of thing. What's the projection of the completion? Is that in the works or?
What's your time frame to complete it? Didn't you say like the end of summer? I thought you said, but now I can't remember.
I don't know.
Maybe like
Before the
right
start.
before the end of summer?
Yeah, definitely before
Perfect.
the end of summer.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. Love it.
The other thing I really appreciate about it is that the crossing guards have a little bit of safety now with that.
Good point.
Yeah, with that concrete and the sign to where when they're allowing children to go back and forth, that's, so thanks, Jacob.
Right. Anybody else in the room and anybody online? No? Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So we'll bring it back to the council. I almost forgot we had to vote on this. So we're all so excited.
Well, can I move to adopt resolution creating CIP 656 for the third and Ellis traffic calming, approving the budget augmentation of 1,000?
Yeah, you sure can. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl, Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Item 13B, adopt two resolutions approving the annexation of Peary Wildwood Phase 1 project into Community Facility District number 2018-1, City Maintenance Services, and 2 Community Facility District number 2018-2, Public Safety. And Nita, is this you?
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you, Madam Mayor. So typically we put this type of annexation on consent, but with our new council members, we thought we'd put this on general business just to give a little bit of background and introduction. So in 2019, the city created these two CFDs, 2018-1 and 2018-2. 18-1 is a service CFD that we use in lieu of like a landscape and lighting district. Any new project that comes into the city must annex into 2018-1. And the reason we created that is to mitigate the cost of these projects. So when a new development comes online, they have lights, they have mediums, they have landscaping, they have curbs, they have gutters, and all of those things, once they're accepted by the city, are the city's responsibility to maintain and replace. And so by paying into this CFD for community members and homeowners, it gives the city funding in order to be able to maintain and replace those items as needed. And in a similar fashion, 2019, no wait, I'll get the right number, 2018-2 is a public services CFD, and that has to do for setting aside money for police and fire and safety services and equipment. Not every project has to annex into this, but most projects do, and this one is in that category. And so this is to, again, set aside and offset the risk and the burden of our safety services for any new development. I think it's important to note that, we'll often hear community members say new development should pay its own way. And so that is the purpose of these two CFDs, is to make sure that new development is paying its way, that they are paying for the impacts that they are creating on the city, on city staff, on city resources, and also mitigating the risks that they bring with them just by having new things in the city, right? And so that's what we're doing now, is we're annexing into these two CFDs with adoption of this resolution. And with that, I will open it up to any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Oh, any questions from the public? Questions online? Okay, that's pretty straightforward. We'll bring it back and accept a motion.
I'll move. Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes, great, thanks, Nita. Okay, item 13C, adopt resolution approving La Quinta Inn and Suites application for the Lincoln Hotel Incentive Program. Is this you again, Nita?
Yep. So just as a quick reminder, in June of 2022, the council adopted the Hotel Incentive Program, which allows us to give a rebate of 50% of the TOT tax generated by that hotel for the first 5 years that it's in operation. And that program called for the hotels that want to take advantage of that rebate to submit an application, and then for council to remove that application. And just full disclosure, the program did indicate that the application and the approval should occur prior to the hotel receiving its final certificate of occupancy. However, La Quinta is the first hotel to take advantage of this program. And so staff were still getting together the forms and the processes and developing all of the information needed for council approval. And so we are coming to you just a bit after the La Quinta received its certificate, which was in, I believe, the middle of March. And so we are asking for your retroactive approval for this application to that program.
Thank you. Okay, I have a quick question. Now I understand that now that they're open and they're actually doing business, we might have to come back. I thought that we already approved them for this program when they were being built.
No,
Was it just
so
a
we had-
verbal
yeah,
that
we
we said we would
discussed-
include them?
We discussed
We
that,
just- okay.
that they would be potentially eligible
okay.
to apply for the program.
Okay.
But no formal approval
formal
happened
okay.
at that time, and so.
I thought we did do a formal vote,
Yeah.
but that's fine. Like, I'm happy to do it. I'm very happy to do it for them. That hotel is beautiful and it's adding a lot to the city, so I'm happy for that. But I was just confused with, I thought we already did that. But,
Yeah.
Okay, any questions from council? Did you have some?
Just a comment that this was brought to the Economic Development Committee and the City Council by John Fett.
John
And it's
Fett.
the reason that we created an award for the Business Innovation Award
Yep.
in John's name. Because this is one of those things that just showed what happens when the community says, let's do something that's unique, that's going to benefit the entire community. And so this is, and I'm very pleased that fulfilling our bargain with them to bring them back, to give them the TOT rebate, because it's a beautiful project, as the mayor indicated. Just beautiful, and they're really good people.
They are very good people. They're Lincoln people and they use Lincoln workers and Lincoln products and all of that. I'm like, Jeanette went so far above and beyond. And what I really appreciate this, and Mr. Chapman, you will appreciate this. This hotel went far and above ADA requirements. It's really, they did a wonderful job on that. And you should go stay in it some night just for fun, just to check it out. It's really great. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Any questions or comments from the public? It's over in 12 Bridges, right across from Leatherby's. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah. All right. I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Richard.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Item 13D, approval of the strategic plan for 2025 through 2027, which outlines specific goals as identified by City Council. Mr. Scully.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This item is a meeting or two past when I wanted it here. Most of that is on me because there was a couple of little details I wanted to make sure were right in the discussion that council had about the strategic plan. But just to kind of give everybody a background, in February, City Council met and had a strategic retreat here at City Hall to form a new plan for the city of Lincoln. We had actually just done this about 6-ish months before that. And as we had a majority changeover on the city council, we sort of decided it was a good idea to refresh and update the plan with new priorities. Also, we're about to enter into our new 2-year budget cycle, and so it kind of gives us the time to allocate some resources towards some of these goals, which are not impossible. It's just a little bit more difficult to do when you're mid-budget. Council held that meeting. It included, we retained a facilitator who has worked with us a few times in the past to go through a very similar process. It essentially included some interview of staff, individual interviews with each elected official, and then a actual meeting/retreat where all of these ideas were hashed out. So the idea here was to try to, we talk about this a lot internally, that, you know, cities and governments have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes what happens is that we stretch ourselves in so many different directions that we don't always get the best work product, because, you know, we love to say internally that you could do everything mediocre, or you could do less things really great. And I think the idea of the plan was to really focus our resources towards areas where the city council felt we should be focusing our resources. And so, to be clear, while this is sort of staff's working Bible for the next 2 years, for lack of a better term, this is a council plan. This is what the city council decided are the priorities for the community. It's based on feedback, based on their elected perspectives. And the way it's set up is basically into 3 sections. I won't go through all of the items. Excuse me, there's 4 sections. There's priority group A, which I'll touch on in a little more detail. And these are going to be larger, more important projects that are kind of now things. We need to address these now. There's priority group B, which are also important, but maybe not as important and needed in the first year of the plan. They can probably bleed into the second. Ongoing projects, which are things that the council considered important, and we're going to keep working on, but they won't achieve priority over groups B and A. And then there's workshops desired by council, which are not necessarily actionable items, but just things that the city council wants us to dive into. And what we find for the community's benefit is workshops, sometimes we'll do them in this format here at council if we have a particularly light meeting, but generally it's not a very, the format doesn't work the same. It's better to have those meetings, which are also available to the public. We usually do them on the first floor. It's a little less formal. It's more of a discussion, and allows people to dive into the issue, whatever it may be. We just held one on property tax. I'd encourage all of our citizens to go check out. I'm going to touch on a couple of priority A's because I just think it's important to kind of keep them front of mind. So there's 5 in this category. One is obtain a better understanding of the city's property tax sharing agreements. So review our current property tax sharing agreements we have with Placer County, and depending on the results of the review, identify and consider what options are available to us to improve our position. I'm one of those guys at my desk that makes a list every day, and I'm also one of those guys that will write things onto the list that I've already completed just so I can scratch it off. And this is one of those items where we've done some of that work already and are now entering into the second half of it. So that's pretty cool. Explore revenue generation options for the city of Lincoln so that we can make sure that we're providing services and needs in the future, to include but not limited to expansion of public safety services, equipment and facilities, library and facilities, accessibility needs. Under all of those categories, of course, include, civic amenities, park space, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. one of the things that is interesting, if you go back and look at Lincoln's history, especially during the growth times, is that the city spent so much time trying to manage this immense pressure of growth that it didn't spend a whole lot of time thinking financially about how it was going to actually serve that growth. So I've been in the position myself a number of times where you get a really great project and you just kind of get tunnel vision on it. And you don't think a lot until sometimes it's too late about how exactly you're going to continue to serve those projects later down the road. And, you know, once something's built, we hope it stays around forever. So we're really trying to pivot a little and spend more time as an organization focusing on how we can generate revenue to make sure that the citizens that are already here continue to get good services and get better services as a result of the growth. And then certainly people that are moving to town or have expectations about what kind of services that they're going to receive here. Third is utilize the review of the city's general plan to explore options of the city to pursue better development strategies that support sustainable, smart growth. To that may include review of our 40% open space requirement, discuss provision of inclusionary and standalone affordable housing policies, and other policies as may be identified by council and commission. So, you know, general plan is not stale by any means, but it's also not new either. And so what was considered and conceived nearly 20 years ago, the world has changed a bit since then. Development patterns have changed, what the expectations of people are have changed. And so council sort of identified that maybe it's time for us to look at what's in there and change a little as well. Continue to develop an overall approach and airport action plan to generate growth and revenue. This is, again, not one that's checked off, but airport committee just in the last, 4 months is already well off to the races on 4 or 5 different efforts that are all kind of running at the same speed. And then the big one, well, one of the big ones, is as part of the downtown master plan, explore options to reduce or eliminate heavy truck traffic on Lincoln Boulevard. So that's more of an engineering effort and will be something that we're going to have to go find experts to give us not just how do you do it, because we think we know how we do it, but what does it cost? Because that's the question that never has been answered here in Lincoln. Everybody, I think, that's lived here has thought of the idea. We never have really put pen to paper and like, if we want to do it, what does it cost? So those are priority group A. I won't go through the totality of B, but there's a number of them in there that have been things that we want to continue to work on, like monitor the idea of municipalization of electric power and whether or not there may be an avenue for that at some point in the future. We have a tangled web and nest of lightning and landscape districts, to Nita's point earlier, that were formed prior to those CFDs that are in various stages of financial hardship. And so it's going to be a lot of work to sort that particular one out. So I'm sort of glad that's a second year project. And then ongoing has a lot to do with, some of the stuff we just consistently work on. So there's our economic development master plans, which include sports and agribusiness efforts, looking at constantly reviewing and re-reviewing how our permits and permit tracking is doing, more transparency updates, more improvements for information to our community. We're still working in, and I think next meeting, we will have some updates on state fire maps. We had a whole workshop already on library service and facility needs, and a variety of others. So I could go through a lot more, but what we like about, at least what I like about the plan is these are very specific, actionable things that, we may not complete the thing, but we'll at least get to the end of the road so that council can make a decision about, do we move forward and spend more resources, or is that good enough for the time being? We probably will have the council back within about 12 months, so probably February-ish of next year, to take a look at where are we at. Do we need to make changes? Do you want to start a new 2-year plan then? But what we found since we started this new process was that the strategic plan works a lot better when we consistently have you back to re-review it. Time notwithstanding, it'd be great to do it every 6 months, but least yearly, get back together. Hey, does this still make sense? Because things change every day around here. So thank you very much to the city council and to staff for putting in the time. It really does make our jobs a lot easier when we kind of have very clear direction about what it is we want to accomplish. And so very proud of the document and hope you will approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I think you summarized it all really well. If I remember correctly, our conversations, we talked about a lot of things. That's good. So any comments or questions from the council? No? Any comments from the public? Anybody online? Oh, come on up.
Marcia Schnapp again. One of the things that makes Lincoln unique has been its 40% set aside for open space on new developments. And I'm not sure I heard that correctly about revisiting old ideas. But I would like that to continue as part of the city of Lincoln. I think it enhances property values. When you enhance property values, you get more property tax revenue to the city. So I think that's a good idea, and I'd like to see that going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, we would too. And I don't think that the sentiment of revisiting that was to lessen it. It was to look at how it's being used and utilized. Yeah, we very much value the 40% open space. How it's implemented is what we're looking at.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the comment. Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay, Zoom is quiet tonight. Okay, bring it back to the council for a motion if you don't have any other comments or questions.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Sean. Back to you, city manager reports.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. Ish.
Ish.
So a couple things. First off, so how do you put it? The city of Lincoln was rated as 7th safest city last
Oh,
year.
man, you
and-
stole my thunder. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
did I?
No,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead. It's important.
ahead.
Well, I think what I just wanted to say about it is we now have been upgraded. If you there'll be a news story about it or two, I'm sure. We've now, this year, which I think applies last year's crime data, we've now been upgraded to the 4th safest city in California out of 482 incorporated jurisdictions. Much safest, certainly safest in Northern California if you determine that Danville is not a Northern California city, although the mayor and I had
We've been
scratching our
debating
head about
whether
whether or
Bay
not
Area
that
is
counts.
considered Northern California or not.
Real Northern
I
California.
really like that tagline, but number one in NorCal, so now I have to
Yeah.
retrain my brain.
So the chief and I kind of laugh a little bit now and then about these metrics that are put out. The company that put this out is called SafeWise, and they put this out every year. And they do use a methodology that I think, you could argue one way or the other about whether or not it's representative of reality. But what I can tell you is that it's based on FBI crime statistics. And so when a crime occurs and it works its way through our justice system, those end up in a database that the FBI maintains that kind of tracks crime. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
That's your 3 minutes, buddy.
And then what happens is, and so what we found is that, or what was the data shows is that both violent and what you would call lower level crime, primarily property or those types of crimes, are both down year over year. Which my perspective are two things. I just want to throw some love over the police department. I think that there's a part of this that includes the diversity that our relatively small police department has created in terms of its different programs they have. So we have a good SRO program. We have a special response team that council authorized a year or two ago that is now off doing their thing. We had virtually no code enforcement department a couple of years ago, at least for a small period of time, other than Christine. Now she's got a couple staff people that are doing really great work. And we have a detectives team that gets out and does the work on more complex crimes. I think all of those things and sort of presence in Lincoln is certainly is a contributing factor. And then the other part I mentioned the other day is that I think there's just a cultural component to, there are some communities that just are generally more law abiding, and then there are others that have challenges along those lines. And so for what, who cares why the reason is, as long as it is. But what I will tell you is that to the extent that we fall a ranking or two or one way or the other, don't freak out. We're still in the top less than 1 percentile of the state. So it's a good and safe place to live. And I think maybe I'll just leave it at that tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay, good. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, that is something to be super proud about, and you covered it really well, but the idea, like how great our public safety staff is, but also neighborhood watch groups, residents, businesses, everybody working together, everybody looks out for each other. And I actually was a little concerned that we would drop a couple, spots, but then when that came out, I was like super excited. So very proud of everybody. Let's just keep up the good work and we'll shoot for number 1 next year. No pressure. No. It's actually great. Well, yeah, it's great because we're still higher than Rockland, so that makes me happy. Yeah, they did. I love Rockland, great people, but I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay. Any council initiated business, unless you guys wanted to say something about that. Okay. Council initiated business, no business tonight. Okay. Committee reports. I don't have one this time, so, well, we had a Listwell meeting, right? Did you want to go ahead? Or-
We did. Did we have a small meeting?
I did. We had last Friday, right? Yeah.
Fridays ago. Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, we are, so correct me if I'm wrong. Did we get the data from the county yet?
45%.
45%?
We have about 45%
Okay,
of the county.
so
And
we're
they
still
are-
working
They
on-
have committed to working on the rest and trying to get it to us within the next month-ish.
Okay, so Listwell is just working on the, what do we call those? The WWTRUs?
TRU
TRU metrics, working with the county, working with the tag teams. I ran into Kevin Bell today and he's like, how's it going with Listwell? He's like, everything going good? He goes, working with your team is really great. I want to make sure everything's fine. And I said, well, yes, on that level, I think it's fine. So John and I we're still wading through all of it. It's going well. So any other committee?
I did have one. But I'm meeting with PCTPA again tomorrow morning. And so the presentation that was shared was part of what I was going to report on because we got that last time.
The what was?
The presentation.
Oh,
for
yep.
The blueprint, yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was going to report on.
Okay, good.
And Whitney and I were on the airport committee, and as Sean indicated, things are happening out there, good things are happening out there.
Mhm.
Specifically, we talked about new hangars that are coming online, what they call cam charges that are going to help the tarmac fix those things which are necessary. Landing fees and looking for professional airport management out there. So all very positive things. I'm also on the Air Pollution Control Board. Not much happened up there this last week. They talked about some fees and issues over there. Pioneer Community Energy, interesting, they just had an IT security audit done, as they take as we do their IT security very strongly, and we passed with really high marks. That was good. And there's an EV charger credit opportunity, what we're looking at, talking with Matt about it. That's more of a future, but things are going well in community energy. And over the next couple of years, they're going to significantly increase the number of their jurisdictions, which is going to help spread out the cost and reduce everyone's fees. So very good.
Yep, good. Whitney, did you have anything?
Yeah, had a LAFCO hearing earlier this month where we finalized the Rockland Municipal Service Review final study, and we're looking at all the different fire districts in the county and finalized ours in Lincoln and Rockland and Roseville's final studies. So that was really interesting. And we're working on we're in a policy workshop right now, just fine tuning policy and making sure that the LAFCO Commission is the highest standard that we can deliver. And let's see, oh, we had our PCWA meeting, Richard and I, last week. We did a tour of the American River Pump Station, and that was really fascinating. They also showed us kind of the lay of the land and the organization, and their 3 businesses in one where they do retail and generate energy, other than also the obvious that we are partnered with them with the water. And then they do advocacy, lobbying, legislative advocacy for the company and for us regionally. And thinking, you talked about the airport. I think that's everything. Yeah.
So Placer County Economic Development, they are working on their strategic plan. Whitney and I met as part of their business retention program with Sierra Pacific and had a great conversation with them about some of the things that they need in the future on the workforce side and forest management, although that's a little out of our wheelhouse. It's part of WATMA, so the Western Placer Waste Management Authority, otherwise known as the landfill, if you're not familiar. I judged their circular economy innovation competition last week. There was 8 finalists.
Oh, how'd that go?
Yeah, it was really cool. We had, oh gosh, I have the right country. I want to say it was zoomed in. Actually, it ended up being WhatsApp because the Zoom wasn't working. It's the day Zoom was down. From Zimbabwe, I think. He didn't end up winning because it's hard for him to make use of WATMA's recycling, but they take waste, collect it, pay them with health insurance, and then use the waste to make artificial lumber to build buildings.
Wow.
It was amazing. The actual winner was from the East Coast, and they actually take recycled plastics and use it as aggregate and cement, which is really helpful because it's something that WATMA currently doesn't have a use for, and there's a cement plant right across the street. So they actually won the prize. There was 2 small folks that one takes textiles, which also usually goes straight to landfill and turns them into dog beds. And then one that takes inner tubes and turns it into clothing or purses or bags and stuff. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. And then today, WATMA cut the ribbon on the new materials recovery facility. Holly and I were there for that. It's really exciting. They're going to start their testing. They expect to actually move real volumes starting in July and hopefully have the big grand opening in September once they've kind of reached their diversion targets. It's a pretty impressive facility. I recommend going and seeing it. It's super impressive.
Nice.
The last thing I'd say is, as part of Pioneer, Richard and I got a tour of CAISO, which was unbelievable. They told many stories about managing California's power, but the way that whole thing works is just really an impressive operation and keeping our lights on. Great education.
So a couple years ago, before this last one that we did, when Lincoln hosted the last city county dinner, I arranged for us to have it there at CAISO. So everybody from the county and the cities came there, and it was really cool. They gave everybody a tour, and we got to see the big screen and all that stuff. Yeah, it was awesome. So I'm glad you guys got a chance to go on there. I always laugh because I live right over there, and before I moved, you could like literally step out on my front yard and look at it. And anytime there was any like rolling brownouts or blackouts or whatever, we never lost power. I'm like, I'm never losing power because CAISO is right there by my house. So
they actually gave us a tour of the one that's in Folsom.
The
primary.
Yeah,
which was,
okay.
really, yeah.
Oh, so you went to the one in Folsom, not the one here?
Yes,
Oh,
the
okay,
one in
cool.
Folsom. Yeah,
Cool.
the main
That's
primary.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Good. All right. Thank you, everybody, for those committee reports. Information, I just have one thing. I just want to say thank you very much to Matt and Aaron. So as you guys all know, the mayor always does Coffee with the Mayor at Sun City. It's the 3rd Tuesday of the month. 3 months ago or whatever it was, Sean came with me. And everybody always loves Sean. He does a great job and answers a lot of questions. And then last month, Matt came with me. And Matt did a phenomenal job asking questions about, the roundabouts and all the projects and questions that, technical stuff that I don't know. And then the other day, Erin came with me and she did a phenomenal presentation on economic development and projects and things like that, and everybody really loved her. So wanted to thank you both for coming and for helping out with that. It's really great because people love when the mayor comes, whoever the mayor is at the time. But, you know, there's a lot of technical questions that we may not have the answers to, and they like to see the different staff people. So just putting it out there, the next one is May 20th. So, I mean, I might bring the city attorney, or if, you know, I can get Christian or Vin to come with me. So it's always good to have a sidekick. So be thinking about that. Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Any other information?
Yeah.
Okay.
I attended the groundbreaking this morning for Placer Commerce Building out by the casino, which was it was well attended, of course, and it was really neat to be part of that.
Good. Thanks for going.
Also, annual spring cleanup dump.
Oh, yeah.
You get your, you put your name on there and your utility account number, and 1 cubic yard of waste drop-off pass to.
I think I already used mine.
um,
That's good.
For community that might be watching or engaged in what we do here. So
Right.
grab one of these and clean up.
Anybody else? Any information? No? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, staff. We are adjourned.